Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B-Man, and I am back. Welcoming you to Stormy B-Man Reacts, an offshoot of our Nerds on Culture show, where we're talking about this evening my reaction to the DCU and the Supergirl movie Disappointment. Yeah, you know, the people who have supported this endeavor by James Gunn and Peter Safran as they took over DC Warner Brothers, and this is their third film that they have produced where their universe of DCU is putting out sub-quality content that audiences are just not buying into. And it's unfortunate because people want to go to the movies to be entertained, and they want their heroes and action figures that they are accustomed to be brought forth in familiar storylines, and we're not seeing that from Safran and James Gunn. And the disappointment is in the box office receipts. Supergirl, which opened recently, is failing at the box office big time, and people are very unhappy. And instead of looking at what's going on with the failure, they are looking to point fingers at the audience and place blame with the audience, which is very unfortunate because as we see what's going on, these people have no clue that the audiences want very much to support, but if you're not giving them that which is familiar, they are inclined to stay away. And I'll tell you something. I say that the public have spoken. You know, we're going to find out as we go forward. I have a little bit of information that I would like to drop, you know, about this, and it's not good. As we've looked ahead, hoping for some changes, this universe is faltering big time. And just referring to Cosmic Book News, the pairing of Safran and Gunn has not been fruitful whatsoever to the DCU. It hasn't. And we're seeing with how the audiences are responding, they are not liking this at all. And they seem to have doubled, if not tripled down on what they're doing. It started last summer with their release of Superman 2025. It is something that people just did not feel. Even from the first press released photo of David Cornsweet in his Superman suit, putting on his boots or something, seated in a chair. The suit was baggy, not fitting, not becoming of Cornsweet, who was a relatively tall and slight actor, spent some time in the gym to build his body up to physically look like an imposing person that could be seen as Superman. The suit that he wore in the film was so baggy that it had wrinkles in it and everything, and it looked like some type of a space suit or something, not like the defined suit that Superman wears off the pages of the comics, or any of the actors who have portrayed him in television and movies prior to James Gunn taking over. And one of the things that people identified with was Gunn's previous films of Guardians of the Galaxy. As he produced those films, it looks like he has brought people over who were behind in the production department, whether it was designing costumes, whether it was designing sets or what have you. And everything looks like a watered down, cheap version of what we have seen prior. Even if you go back to, what was it, 2013 or 2008, excuse me, Superman Returns, where we got a chance to see Superman return to the big screen since Christopher Reeve had last played him. And even that film, the production came across as higher quality, directed by Bryan Singer, who had brought us the X-Men films. Even though his choice of costumes for the X-Men characters, wearing all assimilated black leather, the Superman suit remained the same, albeit that the S crescent on the chest was a little bit small for the size of someone like Brandon Routh, who played Superman, channeling the Christopher Reeve version of Superman. I mean, it was just something that we kind of pushed it, to the side, and we're like, okay. The real complaint about that was to see Superman fight someone where he could use his superpowers and things of that nature. So with this version of Superman, and now Supergirl, who is directly related to that Superman of Cornsweet, Millie Alcock, who's playing Kara Zor-El, is not a fan favorite. Her attitude behind this whole production, and when she's come out to speak in the public about the production and everything, she has done nothing to endear herself to fans and supporters. Though this wasn't projected to be a woke type situation, it has turned into that due to how she has represented and the writers of the film. This film, which was, I'm trying to pull my correct information up. This film, which was written by Ana Nogueira, is depicting Supergirl as a rebellious drunkard and someone who was sent to Earth by her parents, but was raised to be a good person. Supposedly, the book is based on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King and Bilquis Evely. This film takes elements from that comic book story, but from what I understand, it deviates from it as far as the real character overall of the familiar people driving the story. It is just another factor of James Gunn, who does this consistently. He did it with the Guardians of the Galaxy characters. And one of the reasons he was able to get away with that with those characters is because the Guardians, unless you are an avid comic reader and followed their story in the comics cinematically, this was their first time being portrayed on film. So a lot of the characters were written in a way that they could be entertaining, comical, and even somewhat silly. Because the thought is, if you can make people laugh, you open them up to what you're trying to bring to them subject-wise. Peter Quill, Drax the Destroyer, Rocket, they're nothing like in the comics, in the cinematic portrayals of those characters. When we see Gamora, who's supposed to be the fiercest warrior in the galaxy, that was never depicted on film. All I'm trying to say is some of these writers, they come in and they put themselves in these stories and they steer the comics true life away from what has brought them through with people reading their publications for years, if not decades. So it's no surprise that Supergirl is failing. If we were to go back to the television series by Warner Brothers, where we saw Melissa Benoist playing Supergirl, she was very popular on television. She depicted the character of Kara Zor-El well. She was popular, and there were elements of how they were telling her story that just kept you kind of engaged. I don't know what has happened, because Gunn and Safran, not only have they taken us away from what was familiar with that, they've taken away those television series, including Superman and Lois, which was very popular, and a couple of other series. So to start this DC universe, and people are just unhappy. If you are a staunch DC supporter, I'm talking about the comics, you cannot be pleased with what these men have done. And as I had mentioned earlier, going back to comic book news, there's an article that was released earlier today that states that James Gunn may not survive DC regime change after this Supergirl film bombs. It doesn't surprise me that that may be the sentiment, but even in light of that being stated, he is pressing forward, trying to release as many greenlit projects as possible, such as Two-Face. We got the Man of Tomorrow that he's trying to bring out. He's trying to introduce Wonder Woman, and then they just said that they chose a new gentleman to play Batman. It doesn't make any sense that they're going through all of this when nothing has been successful, not one thing. And the people really should voice their concerns about this, because Gunn seems to be extremely ego-driven with what he's doing. the films that have been released under his watch, Superman, now Supergirl, the Suicide Squad. Some people feel he has something to do with the Blue Beetle, as he had taken over. We know he tampered with the Flash and Aquaman. He has been a cancer for DC fans because those projects before he joined DC Warner Brothers were headed in a positive direction, including Black Adam with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who has spent well over a decade trying to get that project off the ground and finally was able to do so, even pulling strings behind the scenes to get Henry Cavill's Superman to cameo with the hopes of a crossover in the future. Gunn put a stop to all of that when he took over. He stopped the Superman TV series. He gave us this Peacemaker, all of this stuff that nobody really want. Creature Commandos and that kind of foolishness. The cartoons and everything. And remember, he said he had a 10-year plan where everything would be tied in together. He said that the universe actors that played them in the live action, they would voice them in the cartoons and the games and everything that was spin off. And none of this has worked well at all. People are just unhappy. I have made a vow not to see any of Gunn's DCU productions until he's either no longer there or someone else takes over and pushes him to the side while they right this wronged directed ship. Now, I haven't seen Supergirl. I am not going to see Supergirl. I can read about the plot synopsis and everything as the little bit that I've shared about it to this point. What I want you to understand is sometimes you have to make that stand. You have to make that stand and say, hey, either I'm supporting something or I'm not supporting. And in this instance, this is not something I want to support. And it's only because of how he has wronged us. When I say us, I'm talking about us who pay to see this fair in the theaters. You know, when he took over at Warner Brothers, they had asked him about Superman, and he said he was not interested in a Superman film or anything. That's not necessarily what was his cup of tea and everything. And it turned out that not only before they announced him being the new co-CEO of DC Warner Brothers, he had already written a couple of drafts of the Superman film that he ended up producing. And therefore, he had dismissed Henry Cavill, who was very popular with fans and everything. And he just lied to the public. And he continued to lie to the public ever since that time. So as you listen to what comes out of his mouth, and when he talks to the fans, he talks to them as if he's smarter than they are. These people have been smart enough to support these IPs for over 80 years. How old is James Gunn? Allow me to look that up for you, because that's important. '59. So he's a year younger than myself. Ridiculous. And see, it's this kind of thing that has not endeared himself. It has not. Let me take a quick moment and see who we got out there. Oh, we got Mr. Cheeks. in the chat along with LPRN. I appreciate you guys. You know, this was a pop-up stream. A lot of people didn't know I was going to do this. And this is on my new Rumble channel, STORMYBMAN'S Temple of Culture and Entertainment. I am going to be shifting everything that I produced over on YT to Rumble, and then I will shut that YT down, because over here on Rumble, I can do this content uninterrupted. So, and that's what it's going to be. And it's not about playing licensed material or anything. It's about being able to have the freedom to move like I'd like to move with the content that I produce. Right now, we're simulcasting on my channel on YT of the same name, but Rumble as well. And we're going to do this thing, and we're going to do it well. So thank you guys for tuning in, you know, this evening. I appreciate your support. But yeah, now when we talk about Millie Alcock, you know, from all the production stills that have been released, there have been very few flattering images of her. Now, I've heard the talks and rumors out there about the woman not being attractive and all of that. I'm not getting into that, but I will say that the released images have been unflattering. There's a way that they can portray you, studios, magazines, the way that they can portray you and have you looking your best or whatever, or looking impressive or looking desirable and all of that. They have done none of that for her on behalf of her. Even in this image here, whether it's from an action scene in the film or not, she looks haggard. And that's bad. You know what I mean? When I put up the image of Melissa Benoist earlier, look at her here. She doesn't look haggard, huh? She looks like she's about to rear back and throw a super punch, right? But most of the images that you see of Alcock, she's looking pretty bad. And supposedly, when she was on television, on that series, she was very popular and desirable from that show. But now people are saying that she looks like a troll creature from the Mad Max movies and all of that. It's like, listen, it's all of this type of marketing, which is poor marketing, can be blamed on these two men, Safran and Gunn. These men have done their best to run this IP into the ground. It's crazy. Adrian V in the building, what's going on? He says, salute, Sensei. Their first mistake is picking a crappy comic book to adapt in Woman of Tomorrow. Tom King is the same guy responsible for the cancer that is Heroes in Crisis and other crappy Batman comics. Listen, this is Gunn, but I'm going to tell you something. He reminds me of Joss Whedon in the regard that they seem to get off on taking characters that are very popular with the masses and the public and kind of dumbing them down a little bit or stripping them down from godlike positions and all of that. I remember when Joss Whedon had said when making the Avengers film that he didn't want Thor to be so powerful because, you know, it's like that whole thing about men and gods. He didn't really want to deal with that dynamic. And then I found out that he's not necessarily a believer. Well, you know, that means that you're putting your personal feelings and your personal position in on these IPs that have been around way before you touch them. If Thor is a god and a god of thunder, you portray him as that. Notice that we never saw Thor flying too much. We never saw him really using those powers because, to be perfectly honest, you guys, in the Avengers film with Loki and the Chitauri attacking New York City, Thor could have ended that battle by himself. That's how powerful Thor is. But they made it a thing where it had to be the Avengers as a group taking on all of these people. And you saw the Hulk in that most famous scene from that film where he took one hand and stopped the Chitauri's big giant monolith, right? He stopped it with one hand. Come on. You want to see your heroes be super. We go to the movies to escape. Huh? We don't want the reality of our reality on the screen too. There's no escape. That's why we read books, novels, sci-fi, fiction. We want to see something that can take us to another place for entertainment purposes. And these guys are messing it up for the DC fans. And that's wrong. Adrian says, you know it's effed up when cosplayers and corn actresses look better than Millie. If you want a great Supergirl movie, just watch Superman Batman Apocalypse. It was adapted from Superman Batman issues 8 through 13 by Loeb and Turner. You'll get a sweet Kara, not hot Diana versus Fury's fight. Listen, I understand. He says Bruce outwitting Darkseid and Superman beating up Darkseid worse than he did during their clash for John Henry Iron Soul. Yeah. You know? But this is, again, when we talk about this, it's bad because there's a market that is being missed by these subpar quality released projects by these men. They should be steered way away from superhero stuff. They should go and do other stuff, other types of fiction, other types of action films or horror films or whatever. But please keep them away from the comic book IPs because they're doing damage, guys. And sometimes the damage can be irreversible because when people stop going to the theater and they find something else to do with their money, it's hard to get them to come back. Very hard. That article from Cosmic Book News about him being out, it says there's a line buried in the rap's new Supergirl post-mortem worth flagging because it lands exactly where our reporting has since last fall. Excuse me. In their breakdown of where DC goes after the flop, the Wrap cites a top agent who says James Gunn specifically should be nervous and predicts he won't survive the change in ownership, even while expecting DC and its longtime executives to endure. I don't know how nervous the DC is, but certainly James Gunn should be nervous, the agent said. There will always be a DC, and the current execs have survived previous regime changes, but I don't think Gunn survives. It goes on and says that back in October of 2025, our Hollywood insiders told us James Gunn would be out as head of DC once Warner Brothers Discovery sells, with David Ellison's incoming regime expected to put Mike DeLuca in charge and start over. In February, YouTuber John Campea predicted Gunn would ask out of his contract before the end of the year and land back at Marvel. We flagged it as matching what we said first. In March, insiders at WonderCon told us Gunn could be gone even before Man of Tomorrow, making a graceful exit rather than getting pushed out after the merger closes. if he goes back to Marvel, I hope that they don't give him some kind of position to make decisions, because with the Russos over there back doing what they're doing and making these Avengers films, this guy will come in there and mess all of that up. He will mess it up, and then Marvel will tank again. Matt Belloni made the call before the weekend even started. He framed Supergirl's flop as bad timing for Gunn and Safran, writing that their post-merger future running DC will likely be decided by David Ellison and the incoming Paramount team. That's the same handoff our insiders described in October, with the new owner holding the call on Gunn. The Wrap took it even further. Their agents read that Gunn won't survive is that same conclusion stated as an outcome rather than an open question. The Wrap also backs the other half of it, that the DC slate under Gunn has no real plan. They report DC's next priority as a Bane/Deathstroke movie with no director or cast attached. You see, a Bane and Deathstroke film. Who the hell wants to see that? We want to see Batman. We want to see Superman. We want to see these characters taking on their prime villains and everything. We don't want to see cast-offs and everything. Do you know that James Gunn had greenlit a Jimmy Olsen TV show? Jimmy Olsen! Jimmy Olsen, people. This is ridiculous, man. EJ, I see you out there, bro. What's going on with you? It's disheartening, people. It's very disheartening, because all we want is to watch. It's kind of like when we talk about our sport of boxing, right? We just want to see the best fight the best in boxing, and we want to see our characters presented with some of the source material that has existed for damn near 80 years. Do you know how many stories they could tell? And then they keep trying to angle things and put it toward modern times or what the world is really going through and everything. One of the things that Stan Lee stood on very strongly, Stan Lee believed that you shouldn't take real world affairs and put them in the comics as something that makes your heroes decide the outcome of the world, because that's not realistic at all. But you can create scenarios for their artificial worlds and different types of problems that could be relatable or make you understand. But it's not like Superman is coming to save the day for real, right? But these guys, they seem to want to take the realities, and usually it's political stuff. The feminist movement and all of this stuff. Oh, we need to make the women to the forefront. Okay, if you want to make the women to the forefront, create stories for the women for the forefront. But don't take our IP that has existed all this time and change the sex of certain characters, or make them change into something that has not been their character their entire existence, or even create something where they no longer are of significance or whatever. It's like, that's damaging. That's damaging to all of it, man. they seemingly just can't help themselves, man. They can't help themselves. They said that Supergirl bombed in China. It barely opened above Madam Web. And you guys know that Madam Web was such a ridiculous thing that Spider-Man should have been in that film, but he wasn't. The villain of that film, who had powers similar to Spider-Man, he was in. Spider-Man should have been in the movie and he wasn't. Again, offshoot characters who are in the realm of the real hero, but the real hero isn't available. That's like, okay, you go to McDonald's, I want a Big Mac, but we're not gonna put the meat on there, but we're gonna give you the special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, and onions on the sesame seed bun. It's like, wait a minute, where's the meat? You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is what they're doing to you. This is what they're doing. I don't know, man. It's like, you know, I'm laughing, but I'm not in a humorous mood. I'm sad. I'm sad for what they're doing to, you know, and I'm one of the few. I like DC and DC and Marvel. I like certain DC characters, you know, and I like certain Marvel characters. I don't like the whole catalog of each side, but I do have my favorites from each side. And it's a shame that we're being forced to deal with this, man. It's crazy. Adrian says, Sensei, that's what they're doing to video game franchises. They just made a God of War game without the poster boy Kratos. Yeah, man, it's crazy. You know what was done like that in the late 70s? During the Kung Fu movie craze. And it was during the resurgence of Jackie Chan's career. Golden Harvest Studios produced Bruce Lee's Game of Death without Bruce Lee. They only used 11 minutes of the footage that he shot, even though he had shot over 2 hours worth of footage that would have to be edited down because the film was incomplete. But they used 11 minutes of Bruce Lee's footage and then hired some dudes that they thought they could throw some shades on them and show them during dark lit rooms and stuff. And it's like, that's Bruce Lee. And the movie made a lot of money, but not because they were releasing that, but because of the 11 minutes of footage of Bruce Lee that had never been seen. That's what made the money. That's right, EJ. It flopped in China, man. It flopped in China, and you got these two dudes to blame, huh? Thank you very much to these two guys. What kind of foolishness is this, man, that we're dealing with? There you go, Adrian. That's exactly true. That's exactly true. We could have had all of that, man. I mean, what do you guys think, man? I mean, you know, we're talking about this, but does anyone here in the chat intend to go see Supergirl? And if you've seen it already, I'm not going to ridicule you, but I want to ask, what are your thoughts? Is it trash? Is it, you know, your thoughts on what it is? I knew when I saw her with that damn raincoat on or whatever that was that she was wearing that reminded me of Peter Quill from Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like, why is Supergirl wearing a damn trench coat? What kind of foolishness is that? Plus, I heard in this film, she don't even have her powers for more than half of the film because she's not under a red sun or something. Are you kidding me? Listen, I haven't seen Superman from last year, and I have no intention of seeing this either, man. Those films can just go over my head. No, I'm not interested. Adrian says, I'm not even going to bother pirating it. Listen, man. The studio should be paying us to watch this stuff. They should be paying us, man. Where's my $450K in the mail? I want it. Well, I'm going to say this, Adrian, whether that was the plot or not. What the plot should have been that the dog got killed for peeing on Superman on the newspaper. What kind of mess is that? What kind of message are you sending? Crypto peeing on a newspaper that has an image of Superman written in an article. Huh? You as James Gunn, you're allowing that. That's your thoughts of Superman right there. You are an asshole for doing that. It's not humorous, but it's denigrating. And it's like, you know what? It's like you're showing utmost disrespect to characters that some of us love and uphold and dear to our heart. You're like that guy who killed off Luke Skywalker in that damn Star Wars movie. Who the hell kills off Skywalker, bro? You're an asshole. No, Adrian, check it out. In the damn Batman versus Superman movie, when Superman took Doomsday into space and they nuked him, Superman, who had become like, when he got nuked, he was like a skeleton almost or whatever, right? But he was out there in space close to the yellow sun. Then his shape and his form came back, right? And he went right on back into battle. Snyder put that scene in there to show Superman's invulnerability. I'm like, people complain because he killed Zod, snapped Zod's neck, who was trying to kill those humans, and he was their protector. That was the only way he could save them. However, part of the comic story was, Superman had vowed to not take a life. And seeing that Man of Steel saw him becoming Superman, he killed Zod, but the vow would come in the aftermath of killing Zod, because Zod was the last remaining Kryptonian, or so he thought, right? So now he has a reason to save everybody. But they didn't want to look that deep into the storytelling. And so therefore they found ways to, Superman killed somebody and this and that. They really went bonkers without having the understanding that he's becoming Superman. That's why the movie was called Man of Steel. Even when Lois was sitting in the interrogation room with him and they were talking, and she asked him, "What is that S on your chest?" And he said, "It's not an S. It's a sign of hope." And she was like, "Well, on our world, it's an S." And when she said, "Well, how about we call it Superman?" they interrupted her. She never got to say Superman. But when General Swanwick was directing his military personnel, and the one guy on the phone said, "Sir, Superman is here." And he's like, "Superman?" He's like, "Yeah, that's what they're calling the alien, Superman." You see what I'm saying? It's like it became a gradual thing. They didn't just jump it in and say, "Oh, that's Superman." He was becoming Superman. Man, Adrian, I'm glad I didn't see that movie, man, because I saw the trailer, you know what I mean? And he was yelling at Lois and stuff. I'm like, that's not Superman. That's not Superman. Even in Batman versus Superman, when Clark or Cal was fighting Batman, he was pulling his punches and stuff. Batman was going all out against him. He even took the kryptonite spear and cut his face with the kryptonite. Remember? He cut him. But Batman had been driven over the edge because Robin was killed by the Joker. And you saw when he was in the Batcave, he had Robin's suit, his costume in the glass case, but the Joker had spray painted on it. And you could see the marks in the shoulder where he got impaled, and of course that story was yet to be told. But that's why Batman was a raging lunatic and was killing people himself, because he had got pushed over the edge. Don't you remember in Spider-Man No Way Home when he and Peter and the other Peter was talking? And dude said, "I got to a point where I got low and dark. I stopped pulling my punches." That's what happened to Batman in the Justice League. But see, these psychopaths of today, they can't listen to a movie's dialogue and watch the action and everything and put one and two together. These are the same people who don't want to sit through a whole video. They want to watch a video short. They don't want to watch an NBA game. They want to watch the highlights. You see? And they think they get the whole thing just from the shorts. No, there's no speed reading in life. No. You have to suck it in and take it in and understand and digest it and begin to let these wheels turn up here. That's why so many of them go to an early grave. I don't know, man. But I try to tell you guys, I'm like, you know, when we produce this content, it's not for everybody. Because if your elevator don't go all the way to the top, oh well. Yeah. I appreciate you, Mr. Shelton, giving me a follow, LPRN and EJ. Thank you guys for following the channel. Well, yeah, this is, you know, this is just another moving away from YT so we could do our thing over here. Yeah. Yeah, Adrian, I saw that. I talked about it earlier in the show before you popped up in the chat. I was talking about that, about how she, you know, blasphemed Christian dads and stuff like that, you know, trying to victimize her plight as a woman and all of this. It was like, it wasn't even about that. You do this stupid stuff, and now people make their own choices and decisions and be like, well, I'm not going to support this movie. If she feel like that, I ain't got to go. And the studios never told her to shut up. They never told her to issue an apology. You know why? Because they want to double down on this stuff to keep people separated, divided, and ignorant toward one another. But see, if you had accountability, you go back and you dial that back and say, you know what, I was a little harsh. I shouldn't have said those things. Please accept my most sincere apologies. Yeah, they don't want to do that. They're uncouth. And see, if they're going to be uncouth like that, then there's one place for them to be, on the outside, right? I ain't got to go. Yeah, man. Dude, I'm so sleepy. My goodness. I don't know why I'm so sleepy, but I am sleepy, guys. Stormy getting old. I can't even get through an hour show. It's like... man, I don't want to be sitting up here nodding off. But let me tell you, it's almost time. It's been an hour, so I can get on out of here. Yeah. But you see how they made her suit kind of fit her, right? But Corn sweatsuit had wrinkles in it and everything. Corn sweat. They should call him ball sweat. Yeah, Adrian, that's what harsh critics call them. Harsh critics be going in on these folks, man. I be laughing at them. Call them cornball. How y'all like my Nerd Studio backdrop? Y'all like that? I got two comic backdrops. Then I got the one that me and Drew was doing the show last week on when we were talking about school days. See, the backdrop I used last week, that we'll do that when we talking about movies that's not comics and stuff or whatever. I got one more backdrop that I haven't dropped on you guys yet, but this backdrop and the other one I got for comics has got some Marvel stuff. This kind of got DC stuff in it, but the next one, the other one, has Marvel stuff in it. Yeah, man. I try to do my best, guys. So I just felt compelled to come and do a live tonight, especially on this with all the stuff that they've been saying out there. I've been hearing that some of everything, man. And they killing this girl and the movie. But they brought it on themselves. They brought it on themselves. I mean, I ain't got no soft spot or nothing. I mean, like, mash them like a cigarette on the ground. That's what I say. But they started it. And like Adrian said earlier, they got rid of the Snyderverse for this crap. And hey, Adrian, did you see that Peacemaker crap with the orgy and everything when they showing people's private parts and everything? What is that, man? That's not DC. Yeah, man. Come on, Spider-Man. That's all I gotta say. Come on, Spider-Man. Brand new day. Yep. Yeah. All right, well, guys, I'm gonna get ready to get on out of here. I've been on here long enough. I mean, I could keep going because I got plenty more information, but this is serve a purpose. Yeah, absolutely, Adrian. I agree. Helen Slater's Supergirl looks like an Oscar winner compared to this foolishness. It's like, what's really going on, you know? I mean, it's like, what are they doing? You know, it's like, get these folks up out of here, man. Shoot. Before we do get out of here, though, let me play a couple of bills here. Let me pay some bills. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting me. This is the first stream for the Stormy B Man's Temple of Culture and Entertainment channel on Rumble. Tell a friend, recommend me, you know, so that people can come on out and support. Because we going to do some good things, man. I want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC. Once again, you guys have a wonderful week ahead, and we will be back. Peace to everybody. Have a good night.